And so, yes, it needs to be cleaned up.
Okay. Anybody else? You know, any other ideas about, do we need to mess with our history and try to clean it up, or do we just need to leave it alone and move forward, move on from it? You know, what's important? Some people say, we just need to let bygones be bygones and leave the past in the past and move on. And there's others say, no, we need to go back. Go ahead, Mr. Greer.
You have to clean it up before you can move forward. So if you're going to move forward, you can't move with the same mess because it's going to hold you back. So you're not going anywhere. You're just there, stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always going to come up before you.
Right.
So it needs to be cleaned up.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Is it important to clean up inaccurate history? Should we try to clean up some of this stuff, or should we just leave it alone? Any other comments or suggestions?
I think it is important to clean it up just because, like, history is something that everybody is required to learn, like, in school. And you kind of attach yourself in, like, where you fit into history, especially if you're a part of, like, a country, or if you attach yourself to a certain ethnicity or race, especially in America. But there's just a lot of history that just hasn't been told. Not to say that you have to make it like glamorous, but just telling the truth and just showing it for what it is. It's just history. So.
Right. That's good. Yeah, one of the things I love about Scripture, and one of my seminary professors pointed it out. He pointed out how, if you read throughout the Scriptures, there's a lot of things that were said about the disciples that, had they been trying to make themselves look good, that wouldn't have been put in the Scriptures. And so, it's more authentic. The authenticity and the genuineness of Scripture is made such by the fact that they put themselves out there. The mistakes that they made and the things that they did wrong were on full display. They were not hidden. So, I was asked to do a eulogy, and I'm doing a little commercial too. October 22nd, I was asked to do a eulogy for a man who was lynched here in Greenville. His name is Ira Johnson. And Ira was a teenager, and he was trying to defend another young boy, an African-American boy, on the streets. He ended up killing another man that happened to be Caucasian. And so the newspapers went crazy publishing this story. Well, if you read the newspaper story, you would understand why people were so mad at this man named Ira Johnson, because they painted this picture that he was this mean, bad guy who had his record, and then this other guy that he killed, Mr. Langford, was this nice Caucasian guy that's upstanding in the community, and this guy just flat out just killed him. They didn't tell anything about the two little boys that were fighting. They didn't say anything about the other man that he pulled out his gun. And so when the case was being made for Mr. Ira, they found out that the other guy shot 5 times before Ira ever pulled out his gun and shot the 2 bullets that he shot. Had 5 witnesses. And so all this evidence was mounting up, and long story short, they ended up lynching him before they ever got a chance to go to trial. So the story just went down, and he was just bad guy, and so that story is forever going to be told that way until somebody cleans it up. So on October 22nd, we're going to be doing a soil. They basically go and dig up the soil from the location where the man was lynched, which is right down Buncombe Road. And that's one of the reasons why they asked our church to participate. They want the churches that are in the area where this happened to participate and try to clean it up a little bit, clean the story up and tell a more accurate. We're not saying this guy was perfect, but we want to give the whole story. to clean up his name and the lineage of his family, and just kind of warn people in the future not to put these false stories out there, because you never know what can happen. You put a story out there and you don't tell the whole truth, and then somebody gets killed because of it. Comments, questions?
Family's name spread it wrongly.
Right.
So yes, I think it needs to be cleaned up.
Amen. Amen. We're going to take a quick look at, and this is not from Chronicles, this is actually from Judges. I didn't update that slide. Judges chapter 14. But in Judges chapter 14, an angel came to the parents of Samson. And we all know Samson was a major figure in the Old Testament. He was one of the judges who was always at odds with the Philistines. So this angel comes to Samson's mother before he's born and tells her what's going to be of this child. And so the father wasn't there, so he's kind of like, I'm not too sure about this story. And so the angel actually comes back, and the woman says, okay, you need to come over here so the angel can tell you the same story that he told me. And so Samson's dad, his name is Manoah, he goes and talks to the angel, and this is what he says. And he says, now when your words come true, what is to be the child's manner of life, and what is his mission? There's two things that jump out for me in that. One thing is, he wants the words that he's spoken about his child to come true. He wants the truth. And the other thing he wants is he wants his son's life to have a purpose and have meaning. And this is one of the things that was missing for a lot of people in America during the 1600s, 1700s, was to have the truth and to have a life that had purpose and meaning. And so here is Manoah painting this picture of what it should be like for us. We should be able to have a life with purpose and meaning, and we should have a life that's based on the truth, what people say about us. This angel said stuff about Samson before Samson was even born. But guess what? Stuff was said about the Negro in America before he was even born. And the story was, these are some dangerous creatures, not people. They animals. They are dangerous, and if you don't get them early, and if you don't train them and whip them in shape, they'll come back and kill you, and they'll rape your wives, and they'll rape your women, and they'll try to come and hang you and get you in your sleep. They had painted this terrible picture. Before the African American was even born, they had this picture painted. So you kind of get a better understanding why they were so afraid, and why they would lynch them, and why they would chain them, because they were afraid. Comments, questions? And of course, you know the end of the story of Samson. He was a strong fella. They had to put some chains on him. They had to subdue him. They had to poke his eyes out to slow him down. He was really dangerous to the Philistines. I mean, he killed a lot of Philistines during his life. Tonight, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about somebody who wasn't trying to kill people. We're going to talk